Hey, what's up, guys? It's Kate here, and today we are going to learn to look for influencers with Bubble. But first things first, why should you be looking for influencers? Well, in fact, influencer marketing is a huge part of digital marketing these days. And a lot of customers, especially in the technology sector, they look for testimonials more and more from people that they trust before they buy a product. But how does a company's marketing department know which influencers are the awesome thought leaders that they need to promote their product? Well, I think a combination of Bubble and a tool called Social Animal can really help with that. So today I'm going to show you how to make the most of them to find some influencers for your product. First things first, make sure you contact Social Animal to get the credentials for the influencer search API specifically. They're valid for 14 days. It's a free trial, and afterwards you can either buy subscription or cancel it if you want. So once you've got the credentials, you create a new Bubble app. As you can see, I've already done that. And you go into the plugins tab and install the API connector. As you can see, I've already done that as well. And you know what I prefer to do with the API calls is to test them in Postman first. I think it's very good practice and can really show you where you could go wrong in Bubble as well. So if you have Postman, please go to that and create a new API call. It will be a post call, and what you have to do is insert this API call, this endpoint, and you do need to get authorization from Social Animal, as I said, and you enter the headers here. It is this X user ID header, and don't worry, these credentials are not valid anymore. and the authorization key as well. So I'll copy that. So that's all good. And what you do next is that you create the body for your call, and it will be a JSON, quite straightforward. And all these parameters are specified in the influencer search API documentation, so they're very easy to follow. So what we got here is a query parameter for the keywords, let's say like the car, and we use the English as a default language. And I also chose a parameter for minimum amount of followers I would like the influencers to have. So what this API call will do is that it will find top influencers for this topic, in our case, select the car, and it will show us the influencers which have 10,000 followers, 10,000 followers or more on Twitter. So let's see. So yes, it works very well, which is good. So yeah, now that we tested it in Postman, we can go to Bubble and add another API. Let's call it Social Animal. And we do need shared headers, and it will be the same headers we used for Postman. So X user ID and X authorization key. I'm just copying this over. And the space at the end, the space. So, and let's call this API call influencers. It will be an action call, and it will be JSON. So, and we add the header. This is very important because we make sure that the header, which is content type, and will be application/JSON. JSON, it does need to be private. So we set it to post, and we copy this call over again. Check. And I like to make these parameters dynamic to make sure that we can set whichever topics we want. So we copy this over, and what we can do here, do the spaces. So we set the parameters to dynamic using these square brackets. So we can type literally anything you want here, because we'll make them dynamic in the Bubble design tab later, and the workflow tab. So search type, no, actually we need the search type Twitter buyers, and the minimum amount of followers can also be dynamic. So let's set to that. Okay, so here you uncheck the private, and if you don't want to set a minimum amount of followers, you can allow this to blank. Or again, you can set any value here you want. It will change later. So it all looks fine now. So let's initialize the call. It works fine. So we save that. And now we go back to the design tab, and we create a repeating group. So that's type of content. Well, let's set it to influences data because that's the type you want. And let's see what values it can display to us. So in the first one, I want the screen name of the influencer I'm using. Current cell influences data, screen name. We do have a screen name here. And now you also want to see the Twitter image of that influencer. So let's add an image parameter, and it will be a dynamic image. So it will be current self influences data. Let's see, does it have image? Profile image URL, yes, it does. So, and you might also want the location, the website of that influencer. So it will be a link parameter, which I think is quite convenient. So let's call it influencer website. And it will be an external URL, of course, and it is dynamic influence data URL. Yes. Okay, and we also want to see how many followers this influencer has. So for that, we use current cell influences data followers, follow count, yes. And in some cases, you also want to see whether this influencer is verified, whether they have a blue tick on Twitter. So this is done same way, adding this little text box. And we want to influences data. Is it verified? And this is a Boolean variable, so you want to format it as text. So format as text, format for yes can be yes, and format for no can be no. So that's that. So that's done. Now that we've done that, let's move it down. You can add any other data from this data set that you want in this repeating group. Now let's design some input fields here. So these input fields will be for the dynamic values of the API we specified earlier. First placeholder keywords, and this one will be minimum number of followers, or count actually. And we want to add a button to trigger this workflow. Let's call it show influences. So let's start the workflow for this. And what you want to do is find the action for the API. I think we call it social animal. Yes, we did. Social animal influences. So as you can see, the parameters are dynamic. So for the keyword parameter, you want to set the input keywords value. And for the minimum followers, you want to set the other input follow counts value. And now that we build the workflow, we want to make sure that this data is displayed in the repeating group we built. So we're going to display list and repeating group. So the data source will be the result of step 1's data. And so yeah, that's about it really. That's how simple it is to build. Let's test it. So you want, for our example, I chose electric vehicles. So if everything goes okay, it should show me then the top influences for electric vehicles, which over 10,000 number of followers. So let's click show influences. So yeah, there we go. So the top one is called Clean Technica, and it has a website. Let's click on that. There we go. And it's verified on Twitter. So it looks pretty good so far. And what we also want to do, what you might want to do, in fact, is go back to the workflow tab and sort this data by, let's say, number of followers. So let's go to sort it, and let's say follow count, because I think that's would be quite a convenient way to view this. So descending is yes. Let's preview this again. And let's type in vehicles again over 10,000. So let's show the influences. So yeah, there we go. I think that's a very convenient tool, and I think the combination of Bubble and Social Animal works really well for you. So, and if you want to scale your marketing operations and add some influences, well, I think that's a really good way of doing it, and that could save you a lot of money and time. And if you like this video, please give me a like and share. Have a good day.